have eaten through a cable or something of that nature, but when it gets light, that's the first job today, to look into why the power's gone off. But we've resumed full power at the moment. So round to Croydon, Fox 5 VLO.
Yeah, morning mate, yep. Plus 18 from you, plus 10 from Colin, plus 18 from John. I haven't checked on Roger's signal yet. Colin, first of all, just to sort out this Netflix, that gadget you were thinking of possibly buying, you know, at 40 or 50 quid, you plug it into the TV, that just gives you everything that you've already got on the TV, and I've checked with Susie and Dougie, and there's no way you can get Netflix unless you pay for it. So you're talking of 7 or 8 quid a month, you know, standing order, then you'll get it. And you won't need that gadget that you were thinking of buying, Colin. So that's that. I had a lousy night. I mean, I went to bed at 10 o'clock, and I woke up at 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 2:30, and I got up. I thought, this is bloody stupid. So I went into the lounge, I put the heating on, I got dressed, and I just watched things on YouTube and various things like that. Then I came out here. So I've had a really lousy night. I thought about lighting the fire in the middle of the night, but I didn't need to, because it's fairly mild out there, 11.6. Cloudy day, but no rain. So I'll pass that over to you, Colin, just so you confirm you got that about the Netflix.
Yeah, all copy died, yeah, good signal, no trouble at all then. Yeah, okay, I've cleared that up. I wasn't serious about it anyway. It was just because the subject had been raised, you know, and I see all these things, you know, I was interested in knowing a little bit more about it. So, okay, thanks for that anyway. Okay, right to you, John.
Yeah, good morning, Gary. Good signal from you there in France. GW08GZ here. Yeah, okay then. Well, it's all up in the air, Gary, so we'll see what happens next. As you said, there's a good chance it won't get through Parliament, and then there's a no deal. But anyway, yeah, that Netflix, Colin, I think we mentioned that before. I said that you can use the app that's already on your smart TV, Colin. You know, you don't need to buy anything at all. And it's, like Agent said, it's about 8 quid a month, isn't it? But the only reason I get it for free is that I share the same log-on as my son, you know, so he's got multi-screen. So if you know anybody that's got it, some relative that's willing to do that, Colin, it wouldn't cost you anything either, you know. So that's okay. Well, I've got nothing planned today. I'll probably play radio again. I played radio yesterday. I went on 2 meters sideband and worked a station in Lincoln. That's just over 100 miles away from here on 2 meters sideband, and I had quite a reasonably long QSO with him, so I'm going to try him again today. And the band was completely empty, you know, just me and him on it. So it's not a bad band, that 2 meters, actually, you know, but there's nobody seems to bother with it. I don't know why. Because the antennas are not particularly large, you know, compared to an 80-meter dipole anyway, so I don't know what it is, you know, it's weird. What do you think, Gary, over?
Well, I've been there, done that. I spent a good 10 years on 2-meter SSB, and where I was in Somerset, I had a pair of 14-element Cushcrafts at sort of 50 feet and masthead amplifiers and all that sort of malarkey. And I could work all over Europe from there. And I used to have regular contacts from Somerset up to Wolverhampton on a Tuesday. I used to work Bob, G4HRG. I used to work up into Scotland. There used to be 3 of us on. There was me, there was John, KBQ, great call sign, G8KBQ, kinky but queer. And there was also a guy in Walthamstow, and the 3 of us used to sit there on 144-300, and if it moved, we got it, you know. And we were on all the time, so it's a beautiful, beautiful band. And like I say, when everybody got access to HF, it sort of died a natural. And that was the end of it. I never run any more than 100 watts of power. I think a lot of reasons why people don't use 2-meter SSB is you've got to know a little bit about what you're doing. You've got to have, you know, the right antennas in the right place with the right coax feeding them, and You know, let's face it, anybody can get a signal out on HF. You could load up a washing line on HF, but on VHF and UHF, you know, you have to know your onions to you know, get the right antenna setups and SWRs and everything else. So I've got in the roof up here, I've got tons of Heliax. You know, the actual Heliax cable with the molded plugs on the end. Because I used to know quite a few. Well, I still do know quite a few guys who work for Vodafone. So I got some good lengths of Heliax with the proper connectors on the end. So I've got a proper good station set up. I've been tempted. I keep thinking about it. I've been tempted, John, to set it up again here. When I first came over here 12 years ago, I did put one of the Cushcrafts up on the chimney, and I could work Wolverhampton from here. You know, my friend Bob, 4HRG, and we worked about 5 or 6 months, you know, sort of from here on a Wednesday morning. But eventually it sort of died out. We went over to, you know, the internet. So I'm still working to this day on a Wednesday, but through Skype. So, you know, I've got a reasonably good location from here. So I've been listening on 1933 on 160 meters and various nets on 80 meters, and quite a few people are talking about 2-meter SSB now, like it's a new thing and how wonderful it is. So maybe it's a phase, maybe it's coming back. You know, maybe a lot of people have got fed up with the hustle and bustle of HF and are going on to 2-meter SSB. But like you say, it's a very quiet band, but you've got to know what you're doing and have a decent setup. You can't get away with just twisting wires together. Round to you, John.
Well, that's right. No, you can't get away with twisting wires together, Gary. You know, that is a fact. No, I mean, the antenna I'm using is only a homemade thing. It's nothing fantastic. It's only 4 elements. But it's a damn good match. It's a gamma match. And, of course, the advantage for me is it's a very short feeder length, because it's right outside the shack door on a pole, you know, so it's more or less straight into the rig from the pole. So I've got low losses in the feeder, which, I mean, I was only using that bog standard 213, which wouldn't be much good if it was going up a big tower and a long run. I just wouldn't be using that, but I can get away with it because it's so short. But I'm thinking of getting the amplifier, you know, one of these LDMOS 2-meter amplifiers, so I can then use it with the Sun SDR2. I mean, the contact I used today was using the 897, which puts out 50 watts, you know, but if I got that little, well, I say a little, it's the smallest one they make is 300 watts. I was thinking of possibly getting one of those in the not too distant future and pairing it up with the Sun, you know, and then perhaps getting a bigger antenna as well, and then I'd be in with a good shout then, you know, over Europe, Gary, over.
I'll tell you a funny story. I had a lattice tower. It was 37.5 feet high, the tower, and then I had 20 foot of scaffold pole coming out the top of the tower. So that was my antenna system, and I was quite proud of this system. On the top of it, I used to have a Killinia, and below that I had 2 14-element Cushcrafts, which were I had them in various configurations. I had them stacked, and I also had them bayed at one point. But anyway, this guy that I told you about in Walthamstow, I used to talk to, he used to have a pair of tonner beams. Now that's a big aerial of tonner. It's bigger than the Cushcraft. And he used to have this tonner at 90 feet, a pair of tonners at 90 feet, and I was so envious of him, and I couldn't believe how he could, you know, keep it up in the air, because the problem is with 2 meters and VHF and stuff like that, it takes a bit of keeping the antennas up in the air and serviceable, you know, with high winds and stuff like that. Anyway, for years and years I competed and tried to get as high as him, you know, 90 feet. And it wasn't until I visited him one day. He lived in a block of flats in Walthamstow, and he had it on a 10-foot scaffold pole on the roof of this flat that was sort of 90 feet. Round to you, John.
So I guess you could say he was cheating, Gary. Yeah, he misled you, didn't he? Oh, well, there you go. No, it was only at 15 feet yesterday. But what we couldn't understand was, in between here and Lincoln, right, you've got Derbyshire. you've got some very high ground. So, but the signals were going up and down, but he was going from S7 down to 0, but I could still read him on 0, so because it's so quiet, isn't it? But it's a high ground in between us. How the hell did he get over that, Gary?
Well, all you've got to do is look at the weather forecast of a night, and if there's high pressure, then you'll be doing well, and that's what, you know, if you've got low pressure or something like that, then conditions are no good at all. But if you've got high pressure, she says there's high pressure coming in, or you see those, you know, the signs of high pressure across where you're looking. At the moment, there's high pressure coming in across France and moving across towards where you are. So you'd be all right beaming towards the France at the moment, I would think. Anyway, we're leaving the others out. So round 2 you, Colin, Fox 5 Yellow.
Yeah, I'd be interested as to why you quote single sideband rather than FM. Why have you gone to that?
In what way? I don't understand the question. The 2 meter SSB is 144. 300 is the calling channel, and you know, there's always 2 meters FM, but you know, that was just for out in the car mobile or repeaters or XCBs or something. Go ahead.
And do you get better reception with SSB there as opposed to FM? I've only ever used FM on there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, of course you would. It's like this band, isn't it? I mean, it'll cut through it better. It's designed to cut through it better, isn't it? But 2 meter SSB is obviously the way to go. And I mean, having said that, I'll tell you what I used to do as well, John. We used to be part of the UK Horizontal FM group, and we used to broadcast, you know, our stations on FM. You know, through the beams, you know, through the antennas on horizontal polarization, and that used to work quite well. But no SSBs for the long distance stuff, a bit like it is on here, Colin. Go ahead.
All right. Oh, well, sometimes I do have a listen on there, but you know, there's a lot of inactivity on the island. It appears to me with you know, 2 meters, I should say. So you know, I've virtually ignored it. Anyway, let's put a range of wager in there.
Yeah, just let me check. I got it.
I had an FM, you know.
Yeah.
A 2 meter radio, and of course in those days it didn't have sideband on it, so it was always FM for me. You know, obviously sideband will go further there, Colin. Roger?
Yeah, Colin.
Go on.
Yeah. Just rule of thumb. You know, if it's on 145, you know, it's FM. You know, normal FM repeaters and stuff. And the SSB section of the band, it was on 144 300 is the calling channel. So you used to always hang around 144 300 and then disappear either side of it. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh well, when I'm in the shack later on this afternoon, I'll briefly try it there. I got a vertical up in the roof, you know, which I suppose was up about 30 feet, I suppose, something in that region. But I'm not too optimistic, but I'll give it a try.
Yeah, on the 144 300, it'll be horizontally polarized though, so you're geared up on the FM section, but you'll hear stuff on it, but it'll be, you know, down by quite a considerable amount. So I don't suppose you'll hear anything at all really, but not because your antenna's not working, because there'll be no one out there.
Yeah, okay. Right you, Roger.
Yeah, okay. Very interesting. Yeah, I've got a 7-element ZL special for 2, been on sideband, but locally 160 FM's very good, Gary, for local. Quite often talk to P's there and Dick. Crystal clear it is for local stuff. So there you go. Yeah, my friend's got two big tonners harnessed together up in the air. He works it well, but he's very much into this whisper stuff at the moment. He's got a friend out in Japan, uses about 5 watts to send him pictures and bits and pieces. But there's so many strings to it. I was tempted to go back to slow scan again. I used to use that a lot 3 or 4 years ago. Slow scan, sending pictures and seeing where they get to give feedback. I used to use EasyPal. So that was interesting for a while, but nothing like HF in the end, mate. From M1 CMW. Back to you, Colin.
Yeah, okay, Roger. Yeah, I've never been interested in that slow scan business. Of course, to you, Gary, Eric, years ago, I think it was in the 40s, and he built his own television set back in those days. So, you can say, he is a pretty, geared up sort of chap, electric-wise, So, not many people could have done that in that era, I wouldn't have thought. Right to you, Gary?
Yeah, well, funny enough, you